above.
You like me to turn?
Yes, please, slowly. Look at this Duchess Pendragon shirt.
Ew.
And all of the wiggles.
Ew. It's giving what needs to be gay.
Thank you ever so kindly.
What's up, guys? It's Antonio Vizcarrondo, aka Antonio AV, and you are tuned into Kelly J. Make sure you check her out.
Lean is what they call them.
You don't know about the hustle, my nigga. Make that shit look easy. You don't know about the grind. Make that shit look easy. We ain't have it off the muscle. Make that shit look easy. Make that shit look easy, don't it? Make that shit look easy. Yeah. You don't know about the hustle. Make that shit look easy. You don't know about the grind. Make that shit look easy. We ain't have it off the muscle. Make that shit look easy. Make that shit look easy, don't it? Make that shit look easy.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Kelly J. And I'm straight from the D. Ain't nobody in my section going harder than me. Ain't no waiting for the top, cause I'm steady climbing the tree. Pleasant Grove to Oak Cliff, yeah, you know where we be. This is my show, and I got it under control. Podcast to interviews, yeah, we doing it all. Got the tea for whoever, ain't no Lipton involved. So when you got it poppin', girl, you know who to call. I'm the realest of the real, I'm just stating the facts. I got it out the mud, and I put the team in the back. Try to tell me I could never, so I did it and laughed. You know it's my turn, yeah. Kelly J on the map, y'all. What up, what up, what up, what up, y'all? Y'all already know it's your girl Kelly J, and we are back back with another episode of Kelly J TV. How y'all doing today? Be sure that y'all are out here, like, once again, y'all already know your girl will tell you real quick. Make sure you like and comment and subscribing to the channel. Make sure that if you have not, go to kellyjenterprise.com and sign up today so that you can not only see the show on YouTube, but as well as on our website. There's some behind the scenes footage, and come May, you guys will start being able to have a chance to see more and more content that isn't seen on social media or necessarily on YouTube either, which is still social media. But you'll have to go to Kelly J Enterprise just to see that. So, two things. Make sure you like and comment and subscribing to the channel. And then once you guys are done, make sure you head on over to kellyjenterprise.com and go sign up. Now, y'all, we have we've been rocking this whole National Poetry Month so hard, you guys, and I've really enjoyed it. It has been an honor to celebrate all these amazing people who are poets who said, you know something, this is my calling, this is what I want to do. And they are going after. Do y'all hear me? Going after, and they are killing the game. Which I already know, I haven't been doing this by myself either at all. So I definitely want to take a moment to shout out to my co-host, just to say thank you, girl, for rocking it out with me. And without further ado, y'all already know I'm just going to bring up my girl, KP. What up, KP?
What's up with you? I'm good.
How are you doing? You're good. I'm glad to see you.
Everybody's always glad to see me.
Of course. Why wouldn't it be? Why wouldn't it be? So, KP, you ready for this special guest we got today?
you can never fully be ready to experience the guest that we have today, but I am as ready as I can be.
I'm not ready. Let me just go ahead and
You're
be
not.
honest about it.
You're not.
I'm
at
not.
all.
Listen, when I found out that she is a pleasure coach, I was like, girls. Cause I feel like she finna come with it, and when she come with it, we are not going to be ready. You guys make sure that if y'all
Oh,
do have any questions
your
today,
mama be watching this show.
huh?
Your mama be watching this show.
Yeah, but did you not hear me last week when I told y'all who I get all this from? Nothing surprise. Listen, don't let nothing surprise you guys when it comes to my mother. Be prepared. I mean, what she asked Duchess the Pendragon. She said, "How many pups?" She's with the shits. My mother be with the shits. Okay.
I don't know. I think mama might tap out tonight.
You know who knows? If she tap out, then I'm gonna be. Ugh. We got B watching the building. What's up? He say I'm ready. All right. All right. Out. Look, I don't know if you ready. Look, I'm not ready. But you know something? I'm gonna do my intro, and you know, KP, you want to introduce her? I like the way you've been introducing everybody. It's been lit. KP done said everybody with a tone. Like if they didn't come up with that type of energy, I was worried. But so far, everybody been boom, boom, boom.
Okay. So, introducing this person. This is everybody's favorite erotic poet, and I say that because I know I'm everybody's favorite erotic poet, and this is my favorite erotic poet. So yeah, this person, as you said earlier, is also a pleasure coach. They are a sex educator. They are the definition of the hostess with the mostest. Also, again, a great poet, a great human, and sexy to boot. So, without further ado, Jennifer Eden.
Hello.
Hey y'all, that was a hell of an intro. Damn, I'm lubed up now. Let's go.
I knew it. Yes.
Yes.
How are you, Miss Eden? And then look, you told me, you said call me Eden. Listen, I already know how it is when it comes to names because I like to be called Kelly J. How are you doing this evening, Miss Eden?
I am lovely, Kelly J. Thank you for asking. And of course, whenever Caramel Poet is in the building, I know that my people are present. This is my energy. If you love Caramel, then you are gonna absolutely love me. Let
Listen,
me just
I do. I love and adore her and have since I met her. And so everybody she done told me about because she was when we were putting this together, she was like, send them to me, let me know who, and when she told me about you, I was like, oh, I gotta have her. But I still don't think I'm ready for you today because, honey, I'm gonna go ahead and jump into it. Can I go ahead and jump right into it?
I mean, if I could just introduce myself.
Go ahead, because that was gonna be my first thing is I wanted you to introduce yourself, please.
Caramel did an absolutely excellent job, but anytime I step into the space, be it virtual or in person, I have to let the people know that I go by the name of Jennifer Eden, Mix Eden if you're nasty, your favorite femme daddy, dominating crowds from the dungeon to the classroom. And I am glad to be here with y'all this evening, so let's get into it.
Hey, and with that being said, it is not me if I don't ask. What made you jump into being a pleasure coach? How did that come about, get started? I am curious because I wouldn't mind learning to become one.
I love that question. And there's definitely space for more pleasure coaches, more sex educators, especially Black folk, women, queer people. Like there is room for us to be at the forefront of what sex education looks like in 2022 and going forward. I became a pleasure coach because I've been doing I like to say organic sex ed work for a very, very long time. I say organic because my start was not in the classroom. It was not in academia. It did not start with me getting a degree in human sexuality, which, like, no shade to anybody who has the privilege and the coin to go the academic path in whatever field they choose. But that was not my story. Okay. I was just a chick with big titties that people asked a lot of questions about sex, because people assume when you look a particular way that you are promiscuous, that you're a hoe, that you are doing, XYZ. And while some of those things might be true today, they were not true when people started asking. So what I did was equip myself with information. I read a lot of books. I'm a lifelong learner. I just picked up a new book today that I'm very excited to get into.
Where's that buy? Where can I buy that at? Because
Oh, yes, indeed. So
it's
this
101 kinky things. Where can I get that at?
by Kate Sloan. It's a pretty new release. It is available online, also at sugartheshop.com, where I got it from. But yeah, like I'm just a person who has always been really curious about sex and sexuality and bodies. And through my curiosity, because I am the energy I want to attract, I attract all sorts of people who want to know what I know, want to know more than I know. And that challenges me to learn more and to make connections that feed me as an educator, but also as a sexual being, as a person who likes to fuck. I can say fuck here, right?
Yes, please.
Okay, great. As a person
who likes, so you can go ahead and get it out the way.
I think that sex is it's an amazing free resource of pleasure. I mean, it's not always free. Sometimes you pay for it, and that is absolutely fine. Shout out to the sex workers. But like, you have access to your body for the purpose of pleasure for absolutely free. You can hit it up acoustic style, use your hands, use the shower, use the tub faucet. Like, you have so many resources available to you using nothing but your own body to experience pleasure. And I want my people, especially Black queer women, to know that, like, we get to be the vessels for our own pleasure. We don't have to rely on anybody else. We don't have to rely on a partner. We don't have to go out and spend money on whatever, sex toy is big on TikTok that week. Like, we get to be the voices of our own pleasure. So that's why I do what I do.
Well, I love it. And speaking on pleasure, I think it is so not taught enough to women about pleasuring themselves. And oftentimes when you sit in a room full of women and you ask, how many of y'all pleasure yourselves? You have some that don't mind raising their hand. You have some that'll turn their nose up because they ain't never done it, never thought about doing it. But to me, those who've never done it, never thought about doing it, how do you fully know that you're sexually satisfied if you yourself don't even know what sexually satisfies you? And please let me know if I'm wrong on anything, but I feel as though when a woman sexually pleasures herself, she tends to learn a little bit more on what gets her gears going. So then when she is in the act, it's not just about, oh, he hitting it right. No, you'll know, okay, I kind of like it to the left a little bit or to the right a little bit. I like my nipples sucked up. Whatever the case may be, you learn that. So what is some advice to women who don't do it? They the ones that turn their nose up. What is some advice you can give to them? Because my advice is, sis, just touch it. It'll bless your life.
So yes, 100%. Just touch it. Just do it. It's your body. The same way that you touch any other part of your body, the same way that you can take some time when you're putting on your lotions or your shea butters, like, spend time with your body. Now, because our anatomy is tucked away, we got to go out of our way to look at it. So if you have not looked your pussy in the eye recently, do that shit. Go ahead and find a mirror and just go ahead and hold it up, or sit in front of a full-length mirror and spread your legs. Like, look at it, not just so that you can communicate to a partner where you want them to touch it, but also our bodies change as we age, as we have children, as we experience different medical and health related things. And it's important to be able to know how your body is changing. It's important to be able to see what is quote unquote normal or predictable and what is outlandish, and you need to go like seek medical attention for that particular change. And it's important to be able to know like when this is just some regular shit that your body does, and it might not be something everybody's body does, but because you pay attention to your body, this is just what the fuck it does. So go ahead and look at it, look it in the eye, tell it you love it, name it, say some nice stuff about it, tell it it's pretty, assign it some pronouns. It might not be a her, it might be a they, it might be a he. Mine is a grown-ass nigga named Earl. Okay, that is how I refer to my shit, because that motherfucker has a mind of its own, and it tends to be a little bit of a fuck boy, but like an old school fuck boy who'll make sure you have groceries at your house, not one of these new school fuck boys who like drop off weed and then dip. I'm not that kind of fuck boy. A grown ass nigga named Earl will make sure you eat.
His name is Earl. Let me just start that off. Any dude named Earl, go make sure you got groceries in your house.
Because grandma knew a Mr. Earl back in her day. Okay, y'all better go ask y'all grandmas. Also, another point of advice, I know that the elders want to pretend that they never had sex, but we're here, so chances are they had sex
At least once.
at least a time or two. Count your siblings and do the math. Talk to your aunties, mothers, grandmothers, the women elders in your life. Talk to them about sex and sexuality and pleasure and their bodies. Talk to them about the ways that things have changed for them when they was busting it down at Freaknik versus now. Like their bodies may not look the same, or they might have discovered along the way that something feels good at 40 that didn't feel good at 25. Like you can learn a lot about what is going to happen or what might happen in your body by knowing what the women in your lineage experienced as well. But we don't have open doors when it comes to those types of conversations. So if it is, if it's something you feel comfortable with, I give this advice, but I also know that my aunties would not be with this shit. Okay. So if it is something you can do in your family or in your, chosen group of elders that you are connected to, then I say spark up the conversation, because you can learn a lot from the elders. They have so much to teach us. And I can't remove myself from the elders, because I am an elder in a lot of ways. But the elders, the saved community, definitely a thing or two that I can learn. So I am always excited to learn from my elders.
Well, I'm gonna jump into the comments because we do have comments coming in. We have one of these. We have Miss Toy talking about her transparency and freedom in her speech is refreshing. Yes, it's not often I meet too many women who are so open about their sexuality. So it is refreshing to hear you actually say it's okay to do this. I'm I'm hypersexual. I admitted that many times on my lives, everywhere. I like sex, everything about sex. I talk about it, but I don't have many people around that are in that conversation and comfortable enough. People laugh at it, or you hear no one is serious where they're like, "Yeah, girl, I tried this." You know what I'm saying? So it's refreshing for me to have you on here right now, because I feel
I know Caramel's people are my people. Okay, anytime Caramel is like, "This is the homie," or like, "I need you to meet this person," I'm like, "Oh, my people." Because honey, we was at the Women of the World Poetry Slam, and everybody Caramel introduced me to, I was like, "Oh, you must be nasty, nasty." If Caramel Poet wants to make sure you know me, we clearly have a thing or two in common. Okay,
right. So I heard you mention this because, of course, anytime we talk on sex, this is like I love hearing everybody's point of view. And so to all the viewers out there, Please comment your thoughts on this as well. What qualifies a woman to be a hoe?
Oh, this is the question to ask me. Did y'all talk about this before I got here?
No.
Okay.
It's just my favorite question to ask people.
I love that you asked me that question because I am a proud hoe. I am
Facts.
a hoe. I refer to myself as a hoe. I have friends who are hoes. I have elders that I look up to who've been hoeing way longer than I have and are doing the damn thing. So let me tell you how I've been labeled a hoe in the past, and then I will tell you how I have reclaimed that term for myself. The first time I was called a hoe, I was 9 years old. I had never had sex. I had never thought about having sex. I had never thought in any tangible way about like desire or somebody finding me attractive or like wanting to have sex with me. But I had titties and I was light skinned. And so people took their assumptions based on what the adults in their family said, what they saw in movies, how the people around them were stereotyped, and they put that on my 9-year-old body. And I know what the fuck that meant about how other people were going to receive me. But one thing that remains true is that once somebody labels you a hoe, anybody will believe them. If somebody says you're a hoe, it doesn't matter why. They're not asking the question that you just asked me. They're not asking, well, what makes this person a hoe? They simply touch and agree, and they move on with the understanding that you're a hoe. Now, like I said, I've been labeled this since the ripe age of 9 years old. So there was literally nothing that qualified me as a hoe by any definition, because the word really comes from a place of trying to categorize and in turn shame women for being sexual creatures and for engaging in their desires, because historically, especially in American culture, sex has been thought of as something that men take from women. The language that we use to talk about sex, oh, she gave it up, oh, I hit that, like all of those things show that sex is thought of as this act of a man conquering a woman. Ain't no man conquering me at all. It's just not happening. That's not the way my desires are set up. But when I realized I'll say college is when I really realized that the word hoe had absolutely no meaning. It is a piece of language that has been tossed around in community. And when you ask one group of people, they'll say one thing. When you ask another group of people, they'll say another thing. And these people rarely have a conversation amongst themselves about what the definition is. So when I realized in college that like I just liked having sex and people were going to keep calling me a hoe regardless of how much sex I have or don't have, or how much weight I gain, or what I decide to put on in the morning, like it just stuck. So cool, I'm a hoe, great, wonderful. I have titties and I like to have sex and I like to talk about sex, because that's a qualifier for some people too, that like you can do whatever you about to do as long as you don't tell nobody. Now that is unethical and unsafe, and I am an ethical hoe. Okay, so I will let my partners know what I'm up to, and I will be absolutely receptive to any boundaries that they may articulate in response to what I say, what I'm finna do. But like, I'm a hoe because somebody told me that I was, and a lot of people believed them. And I decided that I was going to take away the power that people had or that they thought they had over me by labeling me a hoe. I don't think being a hoe is a bad thing. I don't think being a hoe is a negative. I think that even when I refer to myself as a hoe, people will often be like, well, I don't see you as a hoe, or like, you're not that kind of hoe, or like, this person's a hoe and you're not like her. Yes, I am. I am. because this doesn't mean anything. I'm exactly like every other person who's been labeled a hoe since the dawn of time, because the only thing we have in common is that somebody decided to call us a hoe and it stuck. Some hoes make money hoeing, some hoes hoe for free. Some hoes hop on a dick to hoe, some hoes hoe with their mouth, some hoes hoe with the crease of their elbow. Like, none of this shit has a solid definition at all. It's arbitrary. So I'm a hoe because I said so. That's why I currently am a hoe.
I'm a hoe. So, you know.
Shout out to the hoes.
Shout out to all the hoes, including myself. So shout out to me, because hey,
Yes.
I mean, honestly, I think the moment where I kind of was like, okay, you get like just like you, I got called early on in life a hoe, hadn't had sex, just I hung around a lot of dudes. So instantly, you a hoe. Well, then a friend of mine, she was like, well, if you get called a hoe, just be the best hoe you know how to be. So I started hanging around a whole bunch of niggas, because that's the best way. And all these niggas is my partners.
Okay.
Now, have I had sex with some of them? I'm going to plead the fifth on this one. But if I have or if I didn't, that's my damn business.
And that's fine.
Right, it's fine.
Shout out to the stripper hoes. Shout out to the art hoes. Shout out to all the hoes.
If you labeled yourself as a hoe because of somebody else, hey ho, how you doing? Like, and what I did was I went and Googled just to see what Google says, what whore was. Strictly derogatory, a prostitute. And it's like, no. I don't see no, because I know some niggas out here who
word
know.
origin. I'm a language nerd.
Niggas, and it's a problem.
Yeah, like my degree is in English, so I'm a language nerd. I'm a word origin nerd. So like, this is the type of shit that I'm into. When people do shit like throw around a word like hoe, it's like, okay, well, where did it come from? It came from the word whore, which was shorthand for the word prostitute. So if you're gonna say that a hoe is somebody who makes money fucking, then your mama might have been a hoe, because a lot of our elders did not have jobs but kept lights on. So let's think about the ways that we're using these words. Let's think about the negatives that we're putting on our peers that we're not putting on our mamas and our aunties and our grandmas. Because if that's really how you want to use the word hoe, hoeing is the oldest profession. Okay. Like, exchanging sexual services for money has been around longer than American currency. It's been around longer than the paper dollar. So like, if you really want to take hoeing down to like the origin of the word whore, then yes, anybody who exchanged money, time, attention, resources, cattle, dowry, any of that shit. Hoes.
Let's be really real here.
Y'all hoes, everybody. We're gonna jump into the comments real quick. B, while she was out here laughing, he says it's the I have titties saying.
And do they in here? They under the city.
We have Tiana speaks. It's not a bad thing at all. They hate we have control. Yes. Only simple-minded people think like that. It's usually someone jealous or can't get you. Well, if that ain't the truth. Mad love to all those. Mad love to a best. For real. A lot of our elders always had an uncle something over. Meanwhile, you're selling coochie. Do your thing, baby. Say. If you ever had an uncle you name uncle and you know you don't see that uncle no more to this day.
Okay. If y'all was poor, but you always had some dude who came around fixing shit, chances are the exchange was a sexual service. I'm just saying. I'm simply saying. It's historically accurate.
Let's be real though. Marriage is the oldest form of whoredom.
Look, that's a whole separate conversation. That's a whole nother thing. We're supposed to be talking about poems and shit, and we want to talk about the institution of marriage and how it's really some bullshit. That's a whole different conversation.
Yeah,
so
look,
let's get into the poetry. Let's get into the poetry. My favorite question to ask, like Kelly J has her favorites, I have mine. My favorite question to ask is, what was the first time that you wrote a poem that wasn't school related? Like it wasn't an assignment, wasn't homework. First time you remember sitting down with pen and pad and you wrote a poem on your own.
I was 9 years old. 9 was a pivotal age for me. I was 9 years old, and I remember this is back when folks had house phones and had the little notepad next to the phone for messages. And so my mama had put this notepad with a sunflower on it next to the phone. And for some reason, that particular notepad just looked like it needed to be filled with my thoughts. So I stole the notepad and I started writing little poems on this sunflower paper. And I think I still have some of them. I tucked some of them away in like an old photo album, just in case I get really famous one day and somebody gives a fuck. Or I have some kids so I can be like, hey, look at, where your mama got this shit from. But I remember being super secretive with those poems, not just because I had stolen my mama's little message pad, but because I wanted them to be mine. I didn't want to share them with anybody. I didn't like a 9-year-old Black girl having any sense of privacy in the early 90s was not a thing. Okay. So I wanted my poetry to be my way of closing a door. My way of saying, no, thank you. I'd prefer not to share that. My way of saying, this is mine and you can have literally everything else in this house, but this is mine. So I remember writing about little crushes that I had or little things that I would just see, like the way the birds was sitting on a tree. Like that shit was inspirational to me. But like I said, somebody decided I was a hoe when I was 9 and I didn't have a safe space to process that. So I began using poetry as a way to process things that people told me about myself that I didn't know how to feel about them. I didn't know if they were true. I didn't know if they were false. I didn't know if they were good. I didn't know if they were bad. But poetry became the way that I sorted all that shit out.
Okay. I'm going to jump back into the comments because baby, they is rolling in. Everybody liking Miss Edie. We gonna have to have you.
I love it
because you got the comments just woo 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 woo. All right, look. Tiana say y'all getting deep now with marriage. I'm driving and can't respond. We gonna come back to the marriage though. Don't worry.
Drive safely though. Like drive safe. Do
right.
What you do.
Right. Please be safe. Please. She says that is so beautiful. Is sunflowers your favorite flower? Are sunflowers your favorite flowers now?
That is such a beautifully wholesome follow-up question. I love that you asked me that. So I have a theory that all studs' favorite flower is a sunflower. And so as I am tapping more into my masculinity, yes, I love sunflowers. I think sunflowers are like a pretty non-feminine flower. So like, buy your nigga some sunflowers. See how they feel about that, okay? And when I say nigga is a gender neutral term. So it could be your girlfriend, it could be your baby daddy, it could be your husband, it could be shorty with the good strap. Just buy that nigga some sunflowers and see how it goes. But sunflowers are not my favorite, no, but I do enjoy them.
Let's see. B-Watch says, I will go to my grandma's house and she will say, I'm headed to see that meat man, or I'm going to see some meat from the butcher. Was a grown up when I realized what she meant. That's the same thing like going to go see a man about a dog too, huh?
Okay. Our elders mastered the art of subtlety. There is plenty of shit that I heard as a child that I did not realize what the fuck it meant until I was grown, meaning like now. Okay. Not like 18, 21. I'm talking adult. So yeah, it would not have registered to me that my grandma was saying, I'm going to see the meat man, but honey, grandma was going to see the meat man. Okay. Right. The man with the meat.
And he had the good meat because she called him the butcher.
The prime cuts, okay? The prime cuts.
Tiana says, my girl is a stud and she loves sunflowers. Yes.
My theory has been proven.
Oh, but wait, we got somebody that says, Bet Thunder says, as a stud, I like orchids.
Okay, we like it. We will also add that to the stud inventory. Thank you for that. I love it.
We're going to start a stud inventory. Eden, you're the president of it. And we're going to make sure that you guys have all your necessities that y'all need as studs to know so that we can have a successful relationship out here going on with the studs.
First of all,
Sunflower
I am
Bump
sandwich is
that,
all we
bump
ask
that.
for.
It's enough think pieces written on studs. Somebody write something about the boys, please. We over here in the corner all by our lonesome.
You're right. I should expand that because it's not just stud. Stud is a very particular classification of human being. Boys is a much broader category, and I do think that boys at large do need some attention. So I will gladly take on the role of making sure the boys are seen, affirmed, and taken care of. Because love them.
Boom. And we're going to have KP as the vice president, just throwing it out there. President and vice president. Right
You see that? You see?
You see? Right.
I said I'm the energy that I seek, okay?
And look, you saw and I gave it.
I feel it.
Bringing it back to the poetry.
Yes.
Bringing it back to the poetry.
Oh, look, we got one more. Nah, my mama always said she was going to go see a man about the dog. We never got. I'm so sorry. I actually did get a dog once, but after that, I never got another new dog. So,
oh my God, that was funny as shit. Thank you for sharing that.
I gotta go. Love you. Thank you so much for tuning in, Tiana. Thank you so much. But yes, back to the poetry. So I guess my question for you when it comes to poetry, because so with everything you do, how do you make time for poetry? As a coach and an educator, where does poetry come in? Like, how does all this tie into one? Because I know it does.
Poetry makes room for me. It's wild. Like, I have more than once said, like, okay, I'm going to chill on writing for a while, or like, I'm not going to accept any more poetry bookings because I'm focusing on teaching. And I see Caramel looking at me right now because she knows as well as anybody that I can't get away from poetry. Whenever I say I'm going to stop booking poetry gigs, I get people hitting me up like, oh, I want you to feature at this open mic, or I want you to participate on this panel, I want you to facilitate this writing workshop. And I really feel, I'll say it again, I am the energy I want to attract. So like, obviously other people are seeking me out for this for a reason. And there are plenty of poets, plenty of amazing poets, especially here in Baltimore. I'm so spoiled. I'm not a person who can just enjoy mediocrity because I'm literally surrounded by some of the best poets in the world. So I thrive off of being in community with artists. I thrive off of reading other people's poetry, hearing them perform their work. And so I hadn't written anything new in months. And then preparing to host at Women of the World Poetry Slam. I wasn't even preparing to perform, but in preparing to host, I ended up tapping into some of what I had been working on. Every artist has their little like work in progress folder or pile, or however you organize your things or don't organize them. It's fine. Artist brain, it's creative. We know what we're doing. But I got to tap into some of what I had been working on and look at it. And then even sitting in the room, listening to certain poets perform, a line would stand out. And I'm like, oh, I want to expand on that. Or like, now just being around all these artists, I feel inspired to write something. Like, it just happens. Even when I don't want it to, it just fucking happens.
I'm sure. And then you have your workshop you've been working on. Would you care to share that with us?
Absolutely. So like I said, people seek me out even when I'm not even like trying. So I'm actually going to be facilitating a 6-week erotic poetry writing workshop through the Her app. If you're familiar with the Her app, it is a personals website a la Tinder, a la Plenty of Fish, a la what, I don't even know, whatever the fuck else exists.
Facebook dating.
But y'all know what I'm talking about. But it is specifically for women of all identities, of all places on the spectrum of womanhood. And so I get to be the person to facilitate all of these women of various identities and experiences through this journey of writing a performable, shareable erotic poem. And so that is actually starting up next week if anybody is interested. Oh, no, wait, I'm tripping. I'm looking at the date right here. It starts this week. It starts this Thursday. And registration is currently open. So you can go to Come for the Poetry. That's right. I didn't make up the title, but it sticks. Come for the Poetry. You can search that on Eventbrite, or if you're on the Her app, you can search that in the upcoming events. And you can join us while we dig into our feelings and our sensuality and our ability to use words to express them.
Listen, I'm on the Her app, so I'm definitely gonna make sure I go check that out and go look it up.
Yes,
Into it, because I'm very interested. It got me a little. We have Bet says, if Eden taking care of the boys, then I'm a boy.
I mean, this could be arranged. It depends on what kind of care you need.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Now, it was something when I was reading about you and learning more about you that made me very curious. And I'm not going to say it right, so I believe you guys just call it BDSM.
Mm-hmm.
Incite me more, because listen, I love the bondage. Wrap me up, tie me up.
Okay.
I'm learning about it.
All right.
Not in personal life, through reading.
Okay.
I feel like it's a lot of 50 Shades of Grey going on with the BDSM. Am I saying it correctly? Number one.
So first and foremost, yes, you said BDSM absolutely correctly. Also, shout out to you for starting your journey by reading. I think a lot of people see folks doing intricate rope ties or tying people up, slapping them, choking them, spanking them, whatever. And folks are just like, oh, that looks cool. I want to do that. And they haul off and do that shit and either end up really offending somebody or really hurting somebody or really bringing to the surface a larger issue in their relationship around communication or lack thereof. So starting with reading is a really, really healthy place to start your BDSM journey. Also, BDSM is a whole world, honey. I talk to people all the time who are like, I don't think I'm that kinky because I've never done this, this, and this. And it's like, you don't have to be. It's a spectrum. It's a lifestyle. And as you dig more and more into it, you'll find deeper ways of exploring it and deeper ways of connecting through BDSM. But reading about it as a like how-to or instructional kind of capacity, or reading erotica that includes BDSM is a really great way to start seeing what you might be into and what you might want to try to incorporate with a partner or with yourself. Like solo kink is a very real thing. It's something that I didn't really indulge in until the pandemic, when play places were closed. And I say play place like it's a goddamn McDonald's. That's not what I'm talking about, y'all. I'm not going in the little bounce house at the McDonald's and tying myself up. That's not what I'm doing. When I say play space, I'm talking about dedicated dungeons. Dungeon sounds really like seedy and heavy. But BDSM is a
that's
type.
The right name though for them, right? They're called dungeons.
Yeah, a lot of folks use the word dungeon. I usually don't. I usually refer to them as play spaces because there's all sorts of stuff that is not BDSM related that goes on in that space. BDSM is a type of adult play, a type of kinky play. But for some folks, they might go to the play space to indulge in a cuddle puddle or to
voyeurism.
Exactly, or just to watch, or to like do some kinky trivia, or to just learn to be in trenches under somebody who's more experienced. Like there's so much that happens inside of a play space, and so much networking and connecting that doesn't require you engaging in a scene or any type of sex with a person. You can just watch, you can just talk, you can just kiki and network and learn that way. And so, like I said, not the McDonald's place, but actual dungeons or play spaces, which are like,
You do realize that somebody is going to watch the replay of this and set up a ball pit in their bedroom.
and I hope they do. I hope they do, and I hope it's tons of fun. It will make someone's little very, very happy. I absolutely think that the little in me is like really intrigued by this idea now. Like, wait a minute. But yeah, like that's why it's
Get some
called
balls. You know, it's
thing.
nothing to get the order the balls though.
Exactly. It's nothing. Like you can go ahead and finesse
Man,
some
you
shit
know, like,
that'll
you
help
kind of
you.
got me interested.
Okay.
Like, you can go to Amazon and order these balls.
You can get a number of things that you can just go ahead and incorporate into your kink journey.
So with the workshop, what all are you going to, so within the workshop, what all are you going to be teaching the people? Are you going to be sharing some of your work during this time?
So my intention is to get folks to be as authentic in their expression as possible. I don't want anybody to write like me. I don't want anybody to think that, oh, my work isn't good enough because it doesn't sound like Eden's work. And so when I'm teaching, when I'm facilitating, I really try to stray away from sharing my own work aside from like what we collectively work on in the workshop. And I'll reference other poets that I think are absolutely amazing. I fully plan on including some of Caramel's work in my workshop because she is an amazing performance artist when it comes to erotica. And I think that when it comes to erotic poetry, when it comes to any type of poetry, you experience it differently reading it than you do hearing it. And so if you choose to share it verbally, there are things you got to keep in mind when you want to make somebody feel sexy based on what you're saying. You're not going to read it like a grocery list. You got to deliver it like what you're saying is what you want to happen when you're done. And so I plan on referencing some Audre Lorde, talking about uses of the erotic. I plan on referencing some Love the Poet, which like my first poetry crush. I bring her up every chance that I can in hopes that I can just really embarrass her at this point. I just want her to hear that I brought her up, that I was this hot in the pants 16-year-old listening to this grown ass woman performing erotic poetry, talking about just all the amazing things she was going to do to some grown woman's pussy. And I was sitting there, my adolescent self, like that is what I want one day. Yes, ma'am. So shout out to you, Love the Poet, for introducing me to myself. I will give you that credit because, honey, I was sitting at the Warm Wednesdays like, oh, I feel things.
It's a little something extra.
I feel things.
What is this, a little tingly? Oh,
Just a little more.
That's right, Kelly. Yes, look, I ain't gonna lie. Reading is, you know, they say reading is fundamental, but in just this short time, I have learned within reading because I've seen it so many times. You know, you see the hashtags for BDSM on TikTok. There was a chick I was following. That's all she talked about, and I didn't understand it, even though she was talking about it, and even when she would talk. What she was saying as far as like her having her so she was submissive and her man was the dominant one. I realized I would definitely probably be the dominant one because the stuff she was saying he was doing, I was like, and she was just allowing it. I was like, bitch, you didn't like do your shit. No, I was told not to. What? I'm definitely dominant is what I learned quickly during this whole transitioning of reading.
So another thing though, because kink exists on such a wide spectrum, just because somebody's experience with submission was that doesn't mean that that's what your submission would look like. Mm-hmm. So there are certain things that I know are off limits for me. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that like that submission would completely be off the table. It just means that's not the way that I am going to allow myself to submit. I also am not the same with every partner. Some partners get the full dominant top touch me not energy, and other partners get the bust down city girl I've been working out, you know, the knees ain't what they used to be, so the thighs got to be stronger. Like, yeah, no, you got to supplement for the knees as you age, so you just got to get the thighs a little stronger. Some folks bring that out of me, so I'm very much a true switch. Like, I am very much a person who loves dominating and also loves being dominated. And as I have gotten more into my kink journey, I am more discerning of where I am dominant and where I am submissive.
Yes, I'm learning. I'm not gonna say, and I agree because I definitely what she was going through couldn't be me.
And that's fine. You gotta know your limits. That's okay. Know your fucking limits. Don't be trying to do no wild ass shit.
Yeah.
Don't show up for the first time and be like, hang me from the ceiling. No, you doing a lot. Absolutely. There's a whole lot of steps between feet on the floor and hanging from the ceiling. And you need to make sure that you are familiar with all of those steps. Like,
if you're not, I feel like you're going to miss one along the
way. And you could really be fucked up. Like, not just physically, but as Black people, trauma literally lives in our bodies. Trauma that we didn't necessarily experience, but our grandmas, our ancestors, even further back, could have experienced something that now that somebody got you dangling from the ceiling and is hitting you with a flogger, you're like, oh, hell no, absolutely not. My ancestors would not be down for this. Like, I need to get out of this immediately. But if you haven't done the work of establishing a safe word, establishing safety protocol and aftercare, and knowing what your limits are up front, so the person that you are submitting to isn't going to take you past that, then you're really setting yourself up for failure. Because I'm not trying to traumatize nobody, nor am I trying to be re-traumatized. So I do a lot of talking up front before we even get to the touching part, because we're not about to just let somebody be dangling from the ceiling who don't know how to dangle from the ceiling.
See, this goes back to what we were talking about at the very beginning of the show in reference to folks not even being comfortable enough to touch themselves. And then you got folks who want to just jump right in feet first into kink and all of this play and all of these things, and you're still not comfortable in your own skin.
Yeah. Yeah. It's super important to know like where your own limits and boundaries are. I'll say for myself, once again, I'm a hoe. And when it comes to partners that I'm going to engage with, I ask them up front, like, where's your, like, what's off the table? What's completely off limits for you? What are your hard limits? You're absolutely no, under no circumstances will this thing be okay. And if somebody responds, I'm down for whatever, I don't touch them. Because you're not down for whatever. Because if I say, oh, I'm into scat play and I would like to shit in the middle of your chest, chances are you're going to say, no, I'm not down for that. So you're not down for whatever.
Whoa.
You have a boundary.
You can't say some shit like that again. What?
That is a very, anything
that's the
that
thing.
you can think of is somebody's kink. Literally anything.
What is it called?
So scat play is essentially poop play. A lot of folks were introduced to it via 2 Girls, 1 Cup. If you remember that.
I do, and I'm just keep going.
So that is a kink. And it's a thing that, like, in the context of 2 Girls, 1 Cup, a lot of people experienced it as like a shock value thing. Like, oh my gosh, this is wild. But that is a way that some people enjoy playing. Piss play or water sports is also a thing that lots of people enjoy. Impact play, being hit or spanked, happen. There's a big spectrum of impact play. But if you say like, oh yeah, we still on the shit. My bad. I'm sorry. I moved past.
I'm sorry. I'm just mind blown right now.
You're a little traumatized right now.
No, it's okay.
I am just a lot traumatized because, like, I'm used to the piss. R. Kelly let us know about getting peed on, but shit, he didn't forewarn us about this. So I'm just. People really like to get shitted on.
Literally anything that exists can be quote unquote perverted, can be translated to a sexual context that you might not have thought of. For example, I have a particular kink that I didn't know was a kink until I joked about it so much that it became a real thing for me. So
we're talking about the bath thing.
We are. So Family Guy is one of my favorite problematic indulgences. Okay. And there is an episode of Family Guy where the guys on the main cast, Peter, Quagmire, Joe, and Cleveland, they sitting at the bar and they're talking about their favorite like porn categories. So Quagmire is the super like out there kinky one who said like, I don't know, autoerotic asphyxiation or some wild shit, which is choking yourself. But Joe, which I love his response for lots of reasons that we could have a whole conversation about sex and disability and about sensual play and all of those things, because Joe is in a wheelchair and people in wheelchairs, people who have visible disabilities are often desexualized. Like we pretend that people who aren't able-bodied don't fuck. And people who aren't able-bodied have some of the most like creative sex practices. And
right,
some
they got
most,
slings and everything. I don't know, but I heard.
Exactly. So like, ain't nothing a limitation. You just got to get creative. It's fine. But anyway, Joe shares that his favorite porn category is soapy bottoms. He says, I don't even have to watch anybody like have sex. I just like watching them lather up. That shit is sexy to me. And so I had so many conversations where I told people that anything could be a kink. And I referenced this exact thing that I started paying attention to people taking showers in ways that I hadn't before. Like, of course, seeing your partner lathered up is sexy. Like, that's a thing that you're just going to be like, yes, I'm into that. But I'm very much into it. I'm very much into going to the strip clubs where they have the like shower shows and like you can see the dancers lathering up. Shout out to Magic Dyke for doing an amazing shower show.
Go to a shower show now.
Yeah, like call your local strip club and see if they have shower shows because you get to see somebody lather up real sexy, like it's a thing. So like now it's gotten to the point where my friends, because we're close, we share nudes. So my friends will send me shower pics, shower videos, because they know like this is the shit that I'm fucking into. So like I said, anything can be a kink, no matter how innocent it is. Like I told somebody that I had a skincare kink because I was watching them just like put all the little creams and serums and shit on their face. And I was like, this is so intimate. Like maybe I'm into skincare. Maybe that's a thing for me. Maybe I just want to sit back and like touch myself while you put your night cream on. That's sexy to me. Like anything can be a kink.
We gonna jump in this comments real quick. Wait, what I missed? What makes the littles happy?
Oh, that's when we were talking about the ball pit. That's when we were talking about building a play.
We're talking about getting a ball pit for the bedroom. Seems really, really fun.
Yeah.
It does. No, I ain't fucking with the scat. Shit.
Eden, I love you. I'm sending you a gift.
A gift?
Look, right?
I love gifts.
LOL. Okay, yet. Listen, I ain't gonna lie. You done blew me for the day.
Did I give you more than you were prepared for?
Listen, when you hit me with the scat, I was completely thrown off.
So if you are interested in learning more about different types of kinks, I'm telling you, start here. This is a good one. It gives a really nice like overview on a bunch of different things. And then if you want to learn more about a specific kink, also, I'm just like I said, I'm a lifelong learner. I'm a genuinely curious person, which means that even if I'm not particularly into something, I will still try to wrap my head around the appeal of it and why that might be exciting to somebody. And so I will also share that when you're exploring your kinks, especially when you're inviting your partner or somebody else on that journey, it's really important not to kink shame. Do not kink shame people. As shocked as you were about scat play as a concept, you still didn't say, oh my God, that's motherfucking nasty. Who the fuck?
I would never do it. Congratulations to them. in everything that they're doing. But I mean, Eden, I know this is probably your first time on this your first time on my show and probably your first time actually watching me or anything. People who are new to watching me and stuff like that, they know I have no judgment. I will always try to learn it, maybe not experience it or experience it, depending on what it is. Scat won't be something I actually experience, but I am just curious. Like, even when I learned about people liking getting peed on, I asked them, why did you like getting peed on? You know, what was the sensation? What was the feel? My mind becomes curious. So now I want to meet somebody who like getting scattered on because I just want to know at this point. And I got several questions about it.
Questions are healthy. Questions are great. I think that going into any type of conversation about kink or sexuality or identity, coming at it from a place of genuine curiosity is the healthiest place for the person on either side of the conversation. Because if you're genuinely curious, you're also more ready to accept somebody's boundaries. You're also more willing to be like, oh, okay, you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. Or like, okay, that just is what it is. And like, maybe you don't have an answer for me. Or like, maybe you would like to be paid for me picking your brain on this particular topic. And because I'm genuinely curious, here goes something in the Cash App. Like, that's how we want to engage around kink, around sexuality, around eroticism, because there are things that live rent free in our brains that stop us from being our full selves every single day. And we don't even realize it. Somebody told you something about your body and what you were supposed to do with it, or how it's supposed to look, or what these people over here do, and you not finna do that in our Christian home, in our Black home, in our affluent home. Like, all of these things live in our bodies. And so it's up to us as responsible grown people who out here fucking to recognize that we have the power to really fuck people up with the shit that we say. So being responsible with the stuff that you say, being non-judgmental, like you said, and just being willing to have fun, being willing to explore and be curious and be open-minded. And if something's not for you, say that. If something is something that you're willing to try without committing to trying it again, it's just like, let me see how it feels. Sure, let's do it. Let's discuss after the fact. Or if you're like, this is absolutely not for me, it's not something I'm even curious about in the slightest, then leave that hard boundary there and like fuck with people who respect that.
Exactly. Well, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up. Before we do, we have Beth saying something. Yes, congratulations to them, Bet. That's all I'm gonna say on that is definitely congratulations to them. But Miss
Okay.
Eden, I appreciate you coming through. Let us know how people can find you. Oh, KP, you got something that you want to add?
Oh no, I was just about to ask Eden to give the people who are currently watching and those who will be watching the replay, one thing you want them to take away from you as a poet. We spend a lot of this time on you as a sex educator, and I'm appreciative, and I know that the viewers are appreciative. But this is National Poetry Month, so what is the one thing that you would want the people who are watching this, whether they're watching right now or they're watching the replay in the future, what is the one thing about your poetry that you want them to take away from this?
I love that question. So I have said this before and gotten lots of pushback. Curious to see how you feel about it, Caramel, since you are an erotic poet by definition. I believe that all poetry is erotic poetry. I believe that all poetry is meant to make you feel something. The erotic is not just sexual. The erotic is not just how we experience sexual pleasure. The erotic is our entire sensory system. It's how we feel, it's how we smell, taste, touch, it's how we experience life via our senses. And so I was labeled an erotic poet from a very early point in my poetry career, so to speak, simply because I was writing about my experiences and because my relationships were with people who identified as women. Then it became, oh, well, everything you're talking about is lesbian sex. No, it's not. It's my life. If I say this lady is pretty, if I say that we have something in common in the way that we present ourselves, if I say that boys need more love, all of those things are true and factual and not necessarily coming from a place of sexual pleasure, but they're meant to make you feel something. If I tell you, if I give you a poem about a traumatic experience that I've been to, or something that was really difficult for me to process, or something that is common among women, that's also erotic. You're going to feel something. I want you to relate to it. I want you to respond to it. I want you to act on a feeling that you have about it. And so people put erotic poetry in this like othered category that like, oh, if you're explicitly talking about sex, then your poetry belongs somewhere else. No, it doesn't. All poetry is meant to make you feel something. Whether it's in your head, your heart, or your pussy, you're still supposed to feel something after you experience it. And so I want people to know that yes, I write erotic poetry, and that my poetry belongs everywhere that poetry is. It doesn't belong in a specific place, a specific book, a specific venue. It belongs where poetry is experienced. It belongs at every open mic. It belongs at every paid feature. It belongs in every workshop. Like, the erotic is embedded in how we experience life. And you can't talk about you can't talk about what you're experiencing from a genuine place without tapping into the erotic.
I agree.
Well, with that being said, please let everybody know how to follow you and how to tune in, and make sure you guys, what is it, Thursday on the Her app?
Yes. So you can find me on Instagram at Pleasure Over Everything. I know I look young, but I'm too old to be trying to keep up with TikTok and all that other shit. So Instagram is where you can primarily find me. My link tree is linked in my bio, so that stays pretty up to date with any upcoming events, be they virtual or in person. And yeah, I'm outside. I got some cool shit coming up this summer. Shout out to the Ho Hive and our 5-year anniversary coming up in August. I've also got some cool shit planned in Philly and DC. So I'll be around. Make sure that you follow me at Pleasure Over Everything to see where I'm gonna be.
All righty. Well, Miss Eden, thank you once again for blessing Kelly J TV with your amazing smarts. That's what I'm gonna go with, because child, you are educated in every way possible. So
Thank you for having me. This was a dope vibe. I love a non-judgmental space. I love to be able to just talk like I'm talking to my people, and y'all are clearly my people. And the people in the comments is my people as well. Right. Especially the person who said that they ain't never get that dog. I'm gonna remember that. I'm gonna remember that for some time to come. That was funny to me.
Thank you. Who was that? Let's see. Oh, that was Tiana. We gotta now she got a cat. She actually got a cat. But makes me want to get her dog because she never got her dog. I'm gonna call her after this and ask her, do she want me to get her dog? I'm pretty sure her cat not gonna be with it, but we gonna see.
So funny.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you once again. And KB,
yes,
we got another show we done put down in the books. How you feeling this month? Would it be a National Poetry Month?
All I can say is my people gonna show up and show out.
Listen, and your people are definitely showing up and showing out. People don't even know. Come Thursday, we have Corin Williams on, and the son actually just won an award out in Hawaii. So y'all stay tuned. Cause listen, y'all don't even know what we got. We got Hawaii. Somebody from Hawaii gonna be on here. KP, I don't even know how to thank you enough for that. Girl, look, KP making your girl international. Well, technically Hawaii ain't international yet. I mean, technically it's part of the states now, so international.
That's because they stole it, but we're not gonna get on to that because I could talk about that all night. We're going to say goodnight to the folks, and we're going to go on about our day.
There you have it, because we're going to talk about that on Out for Her, because we do got to talk on that. But y'all, without further ado, from myself and KP, We thank you guys for tuning in to Kelly J TV. Be sure to tune in on Thursday. And y'all, Thursday show will actually air at 7 p.m. We are back at 7 p.m. on Thursdays, you guys. So make sure y'all are tuned in, watching. And without further ado, it's your girl Kelly J, your girl KP, and we out. Peace, y'all. Hey, y'all. Y'all already know when your girl Kelly J coming through, you know I'm coming through with some info and some tea for you.
Every time I think of all the time I wasted.